The moment that message hit my phone, my world tilted. My brother was alive, but trapped in a nightmare I could barely imagine. The cartel had him, and in their twisted logic, they'd sent a 14-hour video as proof of what they could do. Proof they assumed would crush me. It didn't. Not completely. Instead, it ignited something far more dangerous, a resolve I hadn't known I possessed. I watched the footage once, twice, maybe 3 times. Each replay revealed small details I could use, clues to track them, recognize them, remember them. Every shadow in the room, the captor's movements, the faint hum of the ceiling fan. It all became a map, a puzzle, a network of signs. They had no idea I'd spent months moving in silence, infiltrating networks, sitting in quiet cafes, asking questions I shouldn't, following leads they would never suspect. 200 threads, each one a piece of a web I was quietly untangling. They didn't know I had learned to listen without speaking, to record without being noticed, to observe without being seen. And now, they handed me an advantage born of their own arrogance. The video itself was unbearable. The bruises, the humiliation, the raw terror in his eyes, every second designed to strip me of control. But I forced myself to focus, separating emotion from strategy. Panic wouldn't save him. Fear would only hasten his death. I scribbled timestamps, repeated gestures, accents, phrases, subtle quirks most would overlook. Every second was a thread to pull, every frame a key. And as the hours ticked by, a plan began to take shape. They believed I was just another helpless victim. They didn't realize I had already become the predator. The next morning, I watched the footage again, sharper now, noticing how the guards shifted, the subtle signals between captors, muffled conversations repeated in patterns. Each glance, each gesture became a code I could decipher. Exhausting? Absolutely. But necessary. I couldn't afford a single error. Every second mattered. My brother's life depended on it. I started tracing their operations quietly, tapping old contacts, informants I'd nurtured over the years. People who owed favors, people with debts to repay. Every piece of intelligence was another step closer to him. I moved deliberately, never recklessly. Every phone call and message coded. They would never guess that the one they thought fearful and submissive was already 3 moves ahead. The cartel's arrogance was their weakness. Fear is a weapon, but it blinds. While they celebrated power, I mapped it, studying patterns, memorizing schedules, noting patrols and routes. Hours of observation stretched into days. Days of planning became strategy. Through it all, thoughts of my brother kept me steady, meticulous. Late one night, I studied the footage again, sharpened my focus on tiny details. A guard's cough, a door left unlocked for a split second, a flicker of light down the hall. Piece by piece, it painted a picture. I no longer felt panic, only control, a cold, calculated certainty. 14 hours of terror were now intelligence, a weapon, closed in my notebook. The plan solidified. It was no longer theory. It was a promise that I would bring my brother home, and they would never see it coming. I set the threads in motion. Every contact, every observation, converged toward the target. The cartel believed they controlled the story. They thought fear dictated my moves. They didn't realize I had been rewriting the rules long before the video arrived. I moved silently, never revealing my hand, never exposing intent. Precision was everything. A single misstep would cost my brother's life. The night before I made contact, I watched the footage one last time, not out of despair, but to catch any detail I might have missed. Patterns in their movements, brief flickers of light, small anomalies. My heart didn't race. My mind was steady, methodical. Fear had transformed into purpose. Their chaos had become the blueprint of my plan. When the moment came, I was ready. I knew their routines, their weaknesses, the tiny hesitations they'd never admit. It wasn't brute force. It was strategy, one calculated move at a time. Finally, I found him. My brother, battered but defiant, hope glimmering in his eyes, matching my own resolve. We slipped away under the cover of night, silent, unseen. They never suspected that the one they tried to break was orchestrating their undoing. 14 hours of horror had become a map, a guide, and ultimately a weapon. As we disappeared into darkness, one truth became clear. Fear may be used to control, but intelligence, patience, and resolve are far stronger. They had tried to teach me submission. Instead, I taught them that every act of cruelty carries the seed of its own reckoning.